Hello friends, welcome to Swift Crash Course tutorial. Today I am representing the basic topics of Swift with the help of Playground. So I have currently downloaded the latest Xcode 10 in which Swift 4.2 language is available. And before you are going through this video, you must have knowledge of any object-oriented programming language so that you can grasp it very quickly. I have already prepared this Playground with the written code, so I'll not write any code in this tutorial, but I'll execute it line by line so that you can understand how it works. So the first line, you can see there is import keyword. It's actually used to uh, import any kind of framework in your file. So in my file I want to use UIKit framework, so I have to use import keywords. And before I am going through the all topics, I'll check that my Playground is working properly or not. So over here I have created simple variable like str and assigned a string in this way, and I can play it like it will run it properly or not. So you can see that the hello world has been printed over here. Now uh, as per different languages, it also provide the single line comment and multi-line comment. So to do single line comment, you can do it with these characters, this double slash, and if you want to use a multi-line comments in your code, then you can do it using those keywords. As per different language, the Swift has semicolon functionality which is not required as per different language like in Java and C Sharp. So you can write the single sentences in a single line without semicolon. But if you want to write the multiple sentences in a single line, then you must have to put the semicolon among those sentences so that compiler can understand it properly. Now, identifiers are used to create the variable, function, or any user-defined item, but there are some rules such as different languages. So the identifiers, like if you want to create the variable name, then it should be start with capital A to Z, small a to Z, or with underscore. And it doesn't allow at the rate, dollar sign, and percentage. And if you want to use the any kind of reserved words like a class keywords in a Swift is used to create the class or define the class. But if you want to use it as a variable, then you can use it with the help of backtick. So I have to put backtick in front and back of the variable, and I can assign a simple string to here, and I can check it like will it print my string or no. So yes, it printed correctly, so I am sure that it works properly. So before I'm going through this whole tutorial, I'll put one uh, multi-line comment code here so that it will not print all the code, all the output, so that I can check single topic yes, and get the desired result. Okay, so in this Playground I have written the basic terms so that if you are going for any kind of interview, then it will also be helpful to you. And I also given the link of this Playground in my video description so that you can download it and play with the Swift, and you can check the different topics over here, and you can also read it because all the code is running properly and I have already checked it. So there are reserved keyword list is also given here, so you can go through it very quickly by downloading this Playground. In the same way, there are some basic keywords has been given over here. Now in a Swift, you must have to use white space very properly because you have to use it in a consistent manner. So you can use it like this. I have also given the valid ways and invalid ways that white space should be used. For example, if in invalid ways I'm uncommented so that you can see it that compiler will give me the error, and it will give me the exact description like why the error occurs. So you can play it and you can already see that there is some errors over here, so you must have to put consistent white space over here. So if I'll put white space over here, then it error will be gone. So you can check it out by uncomment those both and uncomment those both, so that those are the valid ways and those are the invalid ways. To store the data, different data types are available in Swift like int. So int refers to int64 if the system is running in 64-bit architecture, and it refers to int32 if the system is running in 32-bit architecture. Rather than that, there are unsigned integer, integer 8-bit, integer 16-bit, integer 32-bit, integer 64-bit, and in the same way the unsigned series integer series is also available over here. There are also float, double, boolean, string, character type data types are also available. There is something like an optional data types in which either it may have value or it may have nil. Nil refers to null, some is different language. And there is also tuples, like it refers to the group of multiple values, which I'll represent in a further in this tutorial. So to create the variable, you have to use the war keyword and then the variable name and assign the value to it. So this kind this variable refers to the string data types, as I have assigned the string values to the it. If you want to create the constant, then you have to use the let keyword and the constant name and assign the value. And over here, if you want uncomment it, you can check it. It doesn't allow you because constant cannot be assigned again. And if you want, now I want to print both of my variable in a single syntax, then I can use it using print. And if I want to print the value of a particular variable, then I have to uh, put my variable inside those characters so that I can print it in a single sentence. So it will do the string concatenation with different data types or different variables. So when you create the variable and assign the value with this kind of sentence, variable can understand it like it is a string type data type because you have firstly assigned the value of a string. So in a second time, like if you assign integer value over here, it will give you the error because you have already defined it as a string, and the error will be give you the exact idea like cannot assign a value of integer to string type. So you can understand it like if you have defined it for particular data type, then you can't change the data type of the particular variable. But in the same case, like if you do not say anything to this kind of a fractional value, then Swift consider it as a double value. But over here I am sure that I don't need to use a double. Instead of that, I will use 4 byte of data storage so that I can use float. Over here I can refer it like it should be float kind of data type, so I can explicitly say that type my variable should be float type, so it could refer this kind of syntax. In the same way, you can also create the type alias. For example, if in my project I want to refer like marks as an integer, so whenever I use the marks kind of a data type, it refers to the integer. So for example, science marks, and I was assigning it as a mark kind of a variable, so it refers directly to the integer and it will store the value as a integer type. To create the type alias, a type alias keyword is used to create the new name of existing data types. In Swift, you can also use your native language. So in over here, I have used my native language is Hindi, so I have created the type alias of a string keyword and given my native language, and you can see it will print it properly. So you can see it, yes, it's print. Now optional data types are also available in Swift. So in optional data types, the value is actually wrapped, so you have to use or you have to unwrap it before you want to use it. So in this example, you can see it like I have created one variable fname with a string optional data types, and I have assigned one string to it. Now I'm checking it like if fname is nil, then it should print like if fname has no value, otherwise fname is, and print the optional value. So when I'm going to print it, you can see it like fname is optional part. So like optional value, you must have to unwrap it before you use it, otherwise it will print it like this. So over here, you can see it like how could it be possible. So there may be different ways over here. If you want to forcefully unwrap it, then you can use exclamatory sign, and when you are going to print it, it will print it correctly without optional wrapper. So you can see it like it's a forcefully unwrapped. uh, in a normal way, the optional kind of binding has been used in your code. So if you want to use it in your code, you should, or it's a I think recommended way to use it. For example, I have created one variable called hobby, and it's currently assigned as a string, and you can check it like if condition, if anybody has a hobby, means if hobby has any kind of value rather than nil, then it will print my hobby is a uh, the value. otherwise it will print no hobby. So you can see it over here, say currently there is no value, so it is printing it's no hobby. But when I'm assigning any kind of a value over here, it prints it correctly without any kind of a wrapper. So it will automatically wrap it and print it using this way. In Swift, tuple data types refer to the group of multiple values. So I have given simple example over here where student detail is a variable which holds the tuples in which 101 and Albert 101 refers to the student roll number, or Albert is a student name over here, and I can print the tuples with the help of its parameter index. So over here student name is student detail 1 refers to the parameter index 1. So over here 0 and 1 is Albert, so student name is Albert and his roll number is a 0. Student details 00 is a 101 which is his roll number. So you can see it, it's prints it correctly, so yes, it's going okay. Now in Swift different kind of operators are available, like in arithmetic operator, plus, minus, multiplications and division, percentage. For comparisons, like value are double equals, means values are equal, those are not equal, it's greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to. There are also logical operators available, same as different languages, same as a bitwise assignment operator. The range operators are a little bit different than other languages, like if I'm referring 1 dot triple dot and 5, then it refers the value from 1 to 5, and if I'm referring to 1 dot dot is less than 5, then it refers to value 1 2 3 4, uh, which is less than 5. And if I'm referring the range using 1 dot dot dot, then it refers like a value starting from 1 and goes to the go until there is some break or anything else. There is also MISC operator, which is the same as a different language, like unary, minus, plus, and ternary condition. Ternary condition is the same as a different language, like you can use it, which I'll show it in a condition criteria or in a condition group. So for the conditional statement in Swift, there are different three ways that you can use the conditions. First is if else, same as a different languages. So you can use it if else if, and nested if also. Over here I have given the basic example of us if else, like I have created one total marks variable in which I have assigned a value 60, and I have created like total marks greater than or equal to 60, then it should print first class, is it should print pass class if the value is greater than or equal to 35, else it should be fail. And you can press it and you can see it, like it will give you the first class. If you want to check the other result, you can uncomment these values and check it, like will it refer to the proper class or not. So you can see, like I would defer it as a 45, so it is considered in this condition, so it should write it as a pass class. Second one is a switch case. I have written the same condition with the help of switch case syntax. So over here I am checking, like if total marks is greater than 60, greater than equal to 60, and it between 100, so it will print the first class. If it is greater than or equal to 35 and is less than 60, then it will print pass class, and if otherwise it will print the fail. So here I am going to print it, so it will print the first class from if condition and also print it the first class over here. And in Swift you can see that you don't need to put the break explicitly in between those cases. Swift will do it for yourself, do it, but if you want your condition should fall through from one to another, then you have to put the fall through keyword explicitly. So over here I have put the fall through, so if this condition is true, then I don't want to check that this condition should be true or false. I want to execute the case which is written over here. So over here I am going to print it, so it will print the first class and pass class over here, so you can see it. And third one is a ternary condition. Ternary condition is the same as a different like C#. Over here you can print like total marks is greater than or equal to 35, then you should print pass. As you can see, I have assigned value to the marks as a 60, so it will print the pass over here, but if I'm going to change the value, then it will print it as a fail. So you can see that it will print it as a fail. So while going through this conditional statement, I also would like to introduce the guard keyword in your Swift. Actually, it is written to say that if this condition is not true, then you should do something else. It is mostly used in a function, like I'm going to check that if I want to get the result, and if my total mark is in a minus, then I think there is no need to do some kind of a functionality or calculations in my functions. So over here I am using it as a guard, so it will check like guard if total marks is greater than or equal to 0, then it's okay, otherwise else I have to print it like invalid marks and I will return it. So it is same as like if I'm checking condition, like if total marks is less than 0, then I don't need to go again further and I'll return it from that function. So guard is used in the same way that I have referred currently. So I'm calling this get function, get result function, by passing -1 value over here. So when you see the printed results would be invalid marks because -1 is not greater than or equal to 0. So it will go through here and return from the function. But if I'm passing 1, then this condition, then it will not go to else condition over here, and it will print 1 is greater than or equal to 35, which is false, so it will print the fail. So in this case it will print the fail over here. So in Swift there are also loops available. So first one is a for in, while and repeat while, which is same as a do while. So in for in, index which is referred to as a constant, and index in 1 till 6, so it will print the value from 1 to 6. So index 1 to 6 will be printed. And if I'm referring to while, it is also same as a different language like C Sharp, Java, and you can write the condition over here the same way, like a while index is less than 40, then it should print and it should follow that case. Other when, and I'm also incrementing the value by 1, so when you are going to print it, it will print while index 22 39. And same as when I'm referring to repeat while loop, it is different from a while loop because it will execute the first clause without checking the condition, and then it will check the condition. So if in such case in 20 while index refer to 21, so 21 is less than 20, which is false. However, the first time it will execute the close, and second time it will check, so the condition is not true, so it will not print it. So first time it will print value of index is 21, second time is 22, so it is going to check 22 is less than 20, which is false, so it will remove from that repeat while close. In a Swift, different kind of string operation could be possible. Like if you want to create the string, then over here you can create it like variable string and assign the value of string, which is the simple way to create the string. However, you can also create the string with the value with the help of the constructor. So string, and also pass the value like welcome to Crisscross, and you can also print it over here. If you want to do string concatenation, then you can do it simply with the plus and equal sign, and over here I have concatenate hi and welcome to Crisscross using hi str with assigning and concatenating it with the welcome string and print it. So it will print hi and welcome to Crisscross. You can also gonna mix it with the help of that character that I have also referred in a previous one in a print statement. So you can also assign it and print it in such a way. And if you want to check like these two condition or two strings are equal or not, then you can do it using double equal keyword over here, like first student name is path and another one is same one. Then you can check it and it will print it as the same. But if I am refer it as a will I am print with a small one, then it will refer it as a different two different string. So the condition will be false and it will say the two different values over here. And there are also different functions available with the string, so you can go out with other tutorials and check the whole in-depth knowledge of a string. So currently I'm showing the giving the just overview of the string. So if you want to check it like if your string is empty or not, so in such case you can check it with the is empty property. So if I'm gonna print it, it will give me that empty string is currently empty, so it will go to this if condition and print it like empty string is empty. And there are also different kind of functions available in it, like has prefix, has suffix, so you can print it and check it like maths science craft has a maths uh, prefix and suffix, so you can also uncomment this string and check it like which condition has been true and false. And in Swift, if you want to get the UTF-8 representation of your string character, then you can get it through UTF-8, in which prefix string you can print the UTF-8 value like this. In the same way, you can also get the UTF-16 values from that string characters. And as you have created a variable with the for, so it's not the constant, so it is mutable. But if you create it with let, then it's constant, so in such a way it will not allow you to change make a change in it, so it will give you the error because it's constant. And if you are referring as a var, then it is the variable, so you can change it, like you can insert any other values in between the syntax. So for example, over here I am going to put the space in between 62 and marks in my current string, then I can mutate it with the help of insert function, in which I am passing the space and the index. So index would be refer from the start index and 2, so start index and then 2, then after 2 index it will put the string. And if I'm going to print this string, it will show me that there is a space in between those characters. And in the same way I can also remove it. So if I'm going to print it, it will remove the last character because I have given the offset by -1. So I will remove the last character by passing the end index and offset -1. So it has removed my 62 marks and S has been removed over here. If I want to get the reverse string, then I can also get it like this. So in such a way you can get the reverse of your current string. And if you want to get the particular character from the string, then it could be possible with the for in loop. So here I can get the particular characters like 6 to marks. In such a way you can do the operations over the string in Swift. Basic collections are also available in Swift. So first one is array, same as a different languages. So if you want to define an array, you can define it using this syntax. So over here I have created an empty array called fruit array with a string type of array, so it will hold the value of string. So over here I am appending the value like apple, banana as a single value, and if I want to append multiple value, I can use with this expression, and I can iterate through the array and print one fruits one by one using for it loop. So you can see it like it says printed apple, banana, cherry, grapes and mangoes over here. So in the same way I have also created one array which is type of integer, and It contains the value of 0 and it has total 10 elements. As you can see, it's referred to var, so the array is mutable. But if I am defining as a let means a constant, then it will be immutable. But I want it as a mutable, so I have created it as a variable. Now over here, its student marks array has been created with 10 elements, and now I want to change the elements. Like for 0 index I want to change it to the 55. For fifth one I want to change it with the 95. For 90, for ninth one, so for the last student marks I have added is a 85. So when I'm going to print it using for loop, it will give me the result over here like it. So on the first element it has printed 55, on fifth element it says printed 95, and then it has stored 85 as the last student marks. So in the same way you can create the empty array and add element after it, or you can create the empty array with some basic of default values. Like over here we have created the array with 10 elements and having a default value 0. And you can also create the array by giving the values in a single code as like here. So current in these statements I have created vegetable array, which is a string type of array, and it will hold the value of all vegetables over here, and I can iterate through for in loop, and it will print the vegetables name. And if I want to change the value of particular element, for example over here on the first index there is tomatoes, but if I want to do replacement with broccoli, then it will print it and it will replace it with a broccoli. So it will print lettuce, broccoli, onion and potatoes. So you can see the result like here. And in some other way I have also created another array like authoritables, which is a string type of array. And if you want to check it like the array is empty or not, then there is also property available, so you can check it over here. So here I'm going to print it, and you can see it like the tables array is empty, so I have it has printed that it is empty, and I also appended the value of curve. And you can also mix the array, means currently I have mixed all the arrays like vegetable array, fruits array and other array tables in a single array. So it will merge all the values in a single array, and now you're gonna check it, then you can find out that there is 10 values from here. Like for it has vegetable arrays, so for vegetables, and also fruits, those are 5. So it has 5 fruits for vegetables and 1 other eatables that we have referred here. So in such way you can hold all the values in a single array. And if you want to iterate through an array with its index, then it could be possible with for in loop using this kind of syntax, where array index refers to the index of an array and arr values refers to the particular value of that array. And in here you have to use enumerated functions of the array. So when you are going to print it, it will give you the index and the value of a array. So in such a way you can use array in Swift. There is another data type collections which is sets. It is same as a different language, so it will not allow you to insert the duplicate value, and it also not to store the value in a linear manner, so it may not be ordered. So for example, I have created one set like development language set, in which I have inserted the name of different languages, and over here set is type of string, so the state set will hold string kind of data types, and I have inserted the value of Swift, Objective-C, C#, and I'm going through it. I'm going to iterate these sets, then you can see that it will print assembly first, then C#, so it will not store the value in a linear manner. There are also different functions available, like you have see its insert, and you can also remove the value from the set. And if you want to sort it, then you have to use the sort function over here. In such case, it will give you the sorted array, means in such a way when you have inserted the value. So this is the way that you can use it. And set can also be used to do the set operation like union, subtraction, interactions. And over here I have used the union functions so that you can get the idea. Like over here I have created one set of procedural programming languages, and another set is oops object oriented programming sets, and I'm gonna union of two sets, so it will contains all the value from that sets, and I can iterate it using for in loop over here. So it will print all the values from both sets. And third one is a dictionary. So dictionary is used to store the value in key value pair manner. So you can create the dictionary using this syntax where key refers to integer and value refers to the string. And when you are going to define a key value, then key must be either integer type or string type, and value could be anything else. So over here I have created text dictionary, and its key is integer type and value is in a string type. So I have defined like testdic 1470 is a key, and the Bharat is a value. In the same way I have stored the value key value pair manner, and it's the one way. You can also store it using this different way, like over here in a in a single syntax you can store it, or you can also create an array of a key and value, and you can mix it in a dictionary using this way also. So you can uncomment it and check it, like how many way you can create the dictionary. And if you want to iterate through the dictionary, you can iterate it using enumerated uh, function and with the help of for in loop. And if you are going to print it, it will print the two is a value and it's a key and it's a value. So in Swift you can do the different operations over the dictionary. So for example, if I want to do the filtration on my value, then I can do it. For example, currently I am holding the value Albert, Bia, Mas and Bharat, and I only want those values whose string length is less than 5. Then it could be possible with the help of filter, where I can refer it like a value, so value count should be less than 5. Then I only need those values in my current dictionary, in the less character dictionary, and I can iterate through this dictionary so that I can get it. Like BI is only eligible for this kind of filtrations, and it will gonna iterate it with the for loop. In the same way, you can also create the dictionary with the help of array. Currently, this array has different names, which is a string type array. And I want to create the dictionary on the base of grouping, where so I can create the dictionary, and I can define it like I want to do grouping on a name array, where grouping should be done on my first character. So over here my first character is B, over here B, A and M. So I'll get the value. So my current key of this dictionary will be the first character of the value, and the value will be the current value. Those are held by that array. So if you are gonna iterate it, then you can get it like the key is A and it contains the value Albert. For M it contains the value of mass, and for B it will hold both value Bharat and Bia. So it will be helpful in such scenario. And if you want to change the value, then you can use the update value function of the dictionary, and you have to refer it like for which key you want to update the value. So over here I am updating this value for one key, and I'm getting it like Albert is replaced by Albert Einstein. As you can see, update value will also give you return the old value. So Albert Einstein will be replaced. Albert Einstein replaced the Albert, and so old value will be Albert, which will be removed, which is removed from the dictionary. So it is printed over here like Albert is replaced by Albert Einstein. So in same way, there is a remove value function is also available. So whenever you are going to remove the value based on the key, it will also return the removed value, so you can refer it and print it using this way. In Swift, you can create the function using from keyword, then it refers to the function name, then you can add the parameters if you want to, and and you can provide the return type over here, and in your curly braces you can define the body of the current function. So here I have created the function called sum, and it has a parameter number 1 integer type and second parameter number 2 integer type, and it will return the integer. So in a body I am just do addition of the two numbers and return it. So whenever I'm going to print it, it will print 1 plus 2 equal 3, and over here it's 12 plus 18. And here I have created another function which is referred as get min max value, and in a parameter I have defined parameter as a array, which is integer type of array, and the function returns tuples or is a optional. So the function may return nil or function may return tuples which may have value like minimum value and maximum value. So over here uh, it will first check that number 1 is empty or not. So whatever we are passing the array, if array is empty, then there is no value to give minimum value and maximum value for it. So in such case we will return the nil. So if it is empty, we will return nil. Else we will assign first index value of array as minimum and maximum. Then we are going to check it throughout the array and define minimum value and maximum value, and we will return these tuples at the end. So over here we are going to use it like we have created one variable which will get the value from get min max value functions, and as we know that this return type of that function is optional type, so we have to unwrap it. So before we are going to unwrap it, we can check it like either min max value has any value or it is null. So if it has any value, so it will print the minimum value and maximum value from here. So over here we are passing not an empty array, so it will give you the minimum value and maximum value of the current array. So over here minimum value is -50 and maximum value is 60. In such a way you can also pass the parameters in a function using value params. So you can provide as many as argument over here which is the same type. So I've created one print values function in which I am just iterating these parameters which has been passed in this array. So I'm calling this function using value params, and I'm just passing 1, 2 and 3, so it will directly print those parameters. So over here, and if you want to pass something else like here, then you can also provide it string, and you can check it like it will also print the string because it refers to the int types, which is same in case of string. So in function you can also use in out keywords in a function, so you can pass the value by reference. So it is a simple swap value function in which value has been swept. So currently I am passing number 1 and number 2, and I am calling swept values, and I am passing the address of number 1 and number 2. So it will replace the value and store the value in number 1 and number 2. So currently you can see I have defined number 1 as a 10 and number 2. When we get the print from the function, it will swap the original value because we have used in out keywords, which refers to the that parameter has been inside, and it will also modify it, and it will be used outside. In the same way, you can create the simple functions like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and I have created one calculation function, and I can also pass the parameter as a function. So whole function could also be passed as a parameter in Swift. So over here I have created one function calculation in which it takes the parameter is a function which has two parameter, and this function will return integer type, and it will pass those two numbers. So over here you can see that it will print simply the function return values. So over here I have created just simple functions like addition, subtractions, and I am referring one of them in this calculation. So I have referred the multiplication function, and I am passing 10 and 20. So this will go inside here, and it will print function. The function is multiplications, and 10 into is passed. So 10 into 220 is equal to 200, and 200 has been printed over here. So it will give us the result 200. So over here actually there are three parameters, like first is function, another is integer type, and second integer type parameter. So those are passed in a function as a parameter. So let's refer to the concepts, which is closures. It's actually self-contained block functions which can be passed throughout your code. So the basic syntax of closure refers to it, in which it started with the curly braces, and you can pass the parameter. It contains the return type, and in keyword where you can pass or return the result. So over here I have created a simple addition closure, which is two parameters like value 1, value 2. Those are integer type. It will return integer, and this will be the return type. So it will addition to two of the values like value 1 and value 2. So when I'm going to print it, it will print 9 plus 5 equal to additional closure over here. In the same way, you can also refer it, or you can uh, create the closure, or you can create the variable of closure explicitly like this. Like currently I have created argument closure, which is a closure which takes three parameters is and it will return one integer. Over here it will take three parameters and return third parameter over here. So if I'm going to use I'm going to print this argument closure over here by passing 4 5 6, it will take third parameter and return it. So over here it will print 6. So closures are very useful in Swift, and you can get its in-depth knowledge by searching out in Google or in Apple developer. I have given just a basic overview over here, and it can also be used within the functions. So for example, over here I have created a constants of number, which is an array of integer type, and if I want to sort it, then it could be sorted by passing the less than character, and it will give me the ascending type of array. And if I'm going to change the value less than to greater than, then it will give me the descending type of array values, which will be written over here. In the same way, enumerations are also available in Swift, So such as a different language, it has a row value enumerations, and there is something new which is associated values. So first we will refer to the simple one, which is row values. So over here I have created one enumeration called countries, which have four members like Australia, Brazil, China and Denmark. And now I am created one variable which is a type of enumerations, and it holds the value of Australia, and if I am going to print it, it will print the country equal to Australia. In the same way, if I want to print it using a switch case statement, then it will refer to the +61 code over here, which is a simple enumeration, same as a C#. And in associated type, the cases has contained the name, and it also has a parameters. So for example, over here I have created an associated value enumerations. Over here it's employee, where there is a name, address. So name contains one string, address contains a string and integer, phone number contains a string. So I have created an enumeration variable type, where employee.name equal to Bharat, and there is an address over here, there is a phone number here. And if I'm going to print it, currently it refers to employee name, so it will print the employee name equal to Bharat. So you can check it out, and if you want to uncomment with and check it with the different values, then you can get the different values over here. So it could be used in these two ways. So in Swift, structure is also available. So if you want to create the structure, you can create it using struct keyword and then the name of the structure. Then you can provide the definition of the structure. So over here I have created a simple structure of employee, in which it holds the value of employee ID, employee name and employee salary, and it's referred as a variable, and employee is integer type, string and region. Over here I have created one initializer, so it will initialize the value of it. So over here self refers to the member of that current structure. So self id and imp id refers to the parameter over here. So in this structure I am assigning the member variables in initializers, and there is one functions in a structure, in which if I'll got the increment, then I'll update the salary of the employee. So as you can see, I have to use the mutating keyword in a before the function, because I'm modifying the value of the employee salary. That's the only reason why I have used it when I have used mutating keyword. So at the end you can see it over here. I have created variable of the employee struct, where I have passed 101, Albert is employee name, and its current salary is 45,000. And now I'm gonna print it. So you can create the one emp of employee struct, and you can get the output of employee ID, name and a salary over here. When you are assigning the same employee struct to another employee, then it will actually create the copy of it, uh, not like a class. So when I'm going to change the value of emp name, employee salary, Bakulan 3000, and I'm going to print like it's currently same one, and copy one in which I have changed the value like Bakulan 30,000. And if you can see, then it will also refer to the 01, but the value has been changed because one copy and one are actually copy. One is the copy of one employee, and when I have changed the elements of a copy employee, it's actually copied, so it will not refer to the one came. And over here I have do the salary increment 5,000, and now you can check it like Bakul creates the increment and your salary will be 35,000. Yes, I have given the 30,000 salary assigned to the Bakul. Class is also available, so if you want to define the class, you can refer it like class, then class name, and then there is a definition in between the curly braces. So over here I am defined the same class as same is a structure that I have defined for employee. Over here you can give the superclass of the current class, or it may be the protocol. So with the help of colon, and you can define the variable over here, like it's employee employee name and employee salary, which is the same as a above structure. And there is an initializer over here. Self refers to the current member of the class. And over here I have defined one static function which is double equal, and it just refers to the equatable types, where LHS refers to the same class variable and RHS is the same class variable. And if its employee ID is same and if its all members are same, then we can refer it as a equal objects. So over here I have created the variable of employee class type, where EMP ID is 103, the name of employee is Bharat, and salary is 40,000, and I'm going to print it. So it's EMP ID, and you can see it will print it same as above structure. And when we are going to refer to the copy test EMP object of it, it will not copy the values, but it will copy the refer. So it will refer to the same object over here because it's a reference type. So whenever I'm going to change the employee name and employee salary, and if I'm going to print it, it will be reflected over here. So for copy test and for them, both have the same employee name and same employee salary. Then I also created another test object which is 103 Rajesh and 20,000 is the salary. Now I'm going to check it, like if those two objects are same or different. So if they have same value, then it will give me the same. Otherwise, if I'm changing it like 101 to 104 and I'm going to check it with it, then it will not print anything else because I have not written the else condition over here. So it is actually different value, and as I'm going to check those two objects on the basis of equality, that's why I have created the class from equatables and refers the functions static. In the same way, there are triple equal which you may face in your Swift code. So it refers to that, like it refers to the same instance or different instance. For example, test emp object and copy test, which refers to the same in our case. So it will print it as a refer to the same. And another test object which is we have created differently over here, and those are not refer to the same reference, so it will give us the they don't refer to the same instance. So in Swift actually there are two types of properties available. One is a stored property, another one is a computed property. So currently I'm showing this over here. Currently I have created two classes. One is employee works, which has one variable called development, and it holds the value of iPhone application development. Another class is employee one class, which has a store property called employee ID, employee name, and employee salary. And employee works, which is a lazy type. So you can say that the value of employee works will not be defined or will not be assigned until it's been used in the class. So at the assignment time, it will not refers to the particular value. And there is another text which is a computed property. So whenever you want to get the result from the text property, it will give the result with the help of emp salary. And if you gonna set the text property, then it will also change the employee salary. And over here I have assigned the I created the initializer for that to assign the member values. And after that I have created the instance of the employee class where I have assigned employee ID, employee name, and employee salary, and you can see that I have printed the text and it works. So you can refer it like it will print the text and works over here. Now I'm gonna change the text by assigning 3000, so it will also change the employee salary, and now you can see that the salary has been modified over here. In the same way, there is a property observer which is also available in Swift. So over here there is another class called employee2 class. Here I have created one static variable which is 2000, and there is a static type of property, so which is same for all the instance of that class, and it will refer to the static variable. So whenever I'm going to set it, it will change the values of total depth, and observers could also be set over the property. For example, if I'm going to, I have already put the observers like will set and did set the salary property. So whenever I'm going to change the value of salary, it will call this both of observer, and here there is a class function available, so it can also refer as a class because you can call it with the class name rather than instance name. And here I have created the instance of employee2 class, and whenever I'm going to change the salary, it will print that you will be set as a 2000, and old value which was 3000 is replaced with 2000. So in the same way you can use it for replacement or for any other business logic. The same way I have created home loan as a class property. So whenever I'm going to change it, it is referred with the class name. So I don't need to use the instance name over here. I can directly refer it with the class name and home loan 200, and now I can print it like home loan is 2170, and employee to class I can also directly call the function class function with the class name over here, so it could be printed the same way. So Swift, there is a concept of subscript which is used to get the information from collection or list in a class structure enumerations, but you don't need any kind of methods for that, and you can use store it and retrieve the values with the help of indexes. uh, so I have referred it over here. Currently I have created one array in class 10 which is students, and there is some values like Albert, Miller and John, and I have created subscript where index is provided as a parameter, and it will return the value as a string which is current my array type. So whenever I'm creating an object of class 10, and if I want to get the second or first student from my class 10 students array, then I don't need to access it using any kind of methods. I can just use my current instance, and it's a index, so it will refer to the current student which I want to refer it. And if I want to change the value, then it could be also possible is when class obj2 is equal to Robert, so it will come here, and two index has been passed over here. So for student and for second index, it will be replaced with the new value which I will pass over here, so it will be Robert. So when I'm going to print it, it will print it as a third student is a Robert. So in Swift, inheritance is also supported, so you can override methods, properties as subscripts, and also initializers. And if you want to prevent the inheritance, then you have to use the final keywords such as char. So for here I'm adding final keyword in front of games, and I have used this games class as a superclass of cricket, so it will give me the error compile time error over here. as inheritance from final class could not be possible, so I have to remove the final keyword from the class. So in games class I have created storage properties called players and ground, which is integer type. And there is a score property which returns the total scores would be defined, and there is initializers, and there is a function which is used to print the type of the current class and the players, ground area and score. Now I have created the subclass from games, and uh, I will override the properties called score, and created initializer which called the superclass initializer by passing the parameter 11 and ground area 150 yards. And I have also overridden a method called function print description, so it will print the this syntax like cricket is nice game in which 11 players is a team in a ground area is 150. And there is also another function called hit 6, so 6 run in a cricket. In the same way I also created one class called tennis where initializer has been defined, where I'm passing 2 players and ground area is 59. And same as I also created the football, which is a subclass of games, and there is also initializer in which I have passed players 11 and ground areas 180. So in Swift you can also find some keywords like any and any object. So if I'm going to uh, create any kind of array, then any type include all the type of function types, and so you can define like any, and you can pass integer, string and any kind of things. But when you define array types as any object, then you must have to pass an instance of a class, so it should be the class type. So over here I have created the array, and it's a games type, so which is our superclass for football, tennis and cricket. And here I have created the instance of a games, then cricket, tennis and football. Cricket, tennis and football is also considered as a type of a games because they are subclass of the games. And now I'm going to print this using a for in loop. As you can see over here I have used the as keyword, like when crick object means games object is type of a cricket, then I'm casting this object as a cricket object, and then I can call its method like hit 6. And if it's tennis type of object, then I can simply print that tennis is going on. Otherwise print description is already written in our superclass and also overridden in some of our base class. So whenever I'm going to print this, it will print game because the first one is our game, and for that it will print the description for them, where 0 players and ground area is also 0 has been passed. Then another one is a cricket, and so first it will execute the hit 6 because it's a cricket type of object, and then it will also print the print description method of a cricket object. In the same way it will go for tennis, so it will execute this and print description of a tennis, and at the last it will go in football and call the method print description for the football. So that's the concept of inheritance in Swift. So in Swift initializers are also supported, so you can say it's kind of a constructor which is known as a init. So when you define init method, it's considered as an initialization and initializers, and in it you have to provide the values to the all properties. So for the demo structure I have created two properties like property 1, and there is a constant and there is an optional type of property. So it's not required to store the optional type of property. Other than that you have to provide the value for all other properties. So if you can see that I have created one init initializer with having two properties, which has integer type over here and here underscore refers to the unnamed, so it's not required like whenever I'm calling this or creating the instance of the demo struct. I don't need to pass the parameter name, so I can simply pass the values like this because it's defined with the underscore. So whenever I'm defining another initializers without any parameters, so I'm calling the self parameter or self initializer, means the initializer which is defined in the structure with having two parameters by passing 10 and 11. And if I'm going to comment it, then it will give me the error because I have to uh, initialize all the stored properties, and that's why I have to call the call the initializer having two parameters. There is also another optional type of initializer. So whenever you are, for example, if you are passing one parameter in your initializer and if it's not valid, then you don't need to create the instance of that class or extension or structure. So in such case it will provide you the nil, so you can check it. So let's go ahead and check it out. And there is also one function called for print description, in which I have printed all the properties of a uh, structure. So over here I have created one uh, type structure type demo object and demo obj dot print description. So whenever I'm going to print it, it will print the property 10, 11 and 120, because basically it will call the initializer here. So it will call the self.init and pass 10 and 11 to this initializer. So 41 will store 10, it will in 11, and 10 into 11 is equal to 120, so it will store the multiplication value over here. In the same way I can also create another demo struct type, which is demo obj1, where I am passing 15 and 20, so it will refer to this initializer and pass the value from here and print the result for that. So when I'm going to print the result, it will print 15, 20 into 300. Now I'm talking about the optional type of initializer which I have defined over here. So as you can see, there is an if like property 1, if property 1 is equal to 0, then I will not create the instance or I will not create the type of that structure, and I'll return the nil. Else I'll pass the property 1 and another like a 15 default value for that, so it will call this initializer. So over here I'm going to check it, like it's if it's optional, so I'm using this kind of recommended way, like if debobj2 has any kind of value while I'm creating the type of demo struct by passing one parameter, and if it is not nil, then it will print the print description method, else it will call the fail to initialize. So whenever I'm going to print it, it will pass the 1, so in such case it will create the print description method. But if I'm going to pass the 0, then you can see that it will be failed. It will give you the result like failed to initialize. It will not create the type of demo struct in such cases. Now we go ahead, and here same way I have created the one class where I have defined the properties called property1, property const, in the same way which I have defined in above structure. And now you can see there is some new keyword like convenience over here. So as you know that when you are defining any properties which is not optional type, you must have to provide the value inside initializer. But if you don't want to provide all the values for initializers, for example, if you are creating the instance by passing just one parameter and you want that all default values should be stored at that time, then it is required. Otherwise you have to pass 10 or 11th parameter in your construct, which is not convenient way for developers. So in such case, the convenience initializer has been used. So over here you can see there is a two uh, properties which is not optional type, so you have to provide the values in initializers. So in such case, I have defined one pair initializer over here, in which I am passing the property 1 and property constant here, and same above structure I also doing multiplication of the properties. Same way there is a print description function, and over here I have created one convenience method initializes. So if you want to create the instance of or if you want to create the type of a demo class, then you can create it without passing any kind of parameter, or by passing just one parameter, which is optional type of initializer. So over here you can see that first I'm creating by by passing without any kind of parameters, and I'm going to print it. So you can see that the default value has been passed over there. So the default value was 10 and 25, so it will call this one and print the description on the base of the stored properties. In the same way, there is a optional type which I have created, the demo class obj1 equal to demo class 1, and I'm going to print it. So it will also print the result for that. And if I'm going to pass 0, then it will give print the fail to initialize. Now I'm creating the subclass of a demo class, and I'm going to override the initializer over here, where I have to pass the two properties. So here I'm calling the super initializer, and a multiplication value has been set over here by 1000. In the same way, I have also created the required initializer. So the subclass of the subdemo class must have to create the initializers which is required. So here there is a other value, and a required initializer has been defined over here. So I can pass the other values 10 and super init other means a super class over here. So the super class for it is a subdemo class, so it will call the initializer over here. And when I'm going to print the result of subdemo class, it will print it by passing 19 and 18. And if I'm going to pass a subdemo class, subdemo class here, then it will print the results for them. So in such way you can define the initializer for structure and class. In the same way you can also define the initializer for the enumerations. So I've created one enumerations called country num, where I have defined the cases over here. Like I have passed the countries called Australia, Brazil, China, Denmark and India. Over here I'm going to pass the ID, which is a string type, and if it's matched with any kind of a case, then it will set the value by the defined case. So over here I have created the enumeration type using. Over here you can see that it's optional type of initializer. So while calling this, I'll let country equal to country's name by Denmark, then it will call the Denmark, so it will assign the value Denmark here. So I'm going to print it. So you can see that Denmark found, but if I'm passing some other values which is not defining the case of countries, then for example it is QQQ, then I'm going to print it. So it will give me the value doesn't exist, because uh, the QQQ is not defined in any case, and by default it will return here. So it will give the nil, and so the case will be come here, so condition will be false, and it will print the value doesn't exist. So in Swift you may also go through the weak and unknown reference keyword. So over here you can use the weak and unknown while you don't want to increase the return count for the object, and uh, you want to get the you want to hold the reference of the class. So for example, if there is a strong reference which is already created and you want to hold it, but you don't want to increase the return count, then you must have to uh, create the variable using weak keyword. And there is unowned, which is also same as weak, but there's only difference is that weak type of properties are optional, so it may have a nil or it may have a value, but for unowned it must have any kind of a value. So if you are sure that whenever you are creating the instance and you are sure that there's must have any kind of value, then you have to define the variable as unowned, else weak will be good for that. So here I have created one class called movie, and there is a name store property, and there is a weak uh, property which is assigned book, which is type of book, which I have defined here. So you can see it that the class book has been defined. So whenever you are creating initializer, there is also deinitializer, which is same as a destructor. So when the instance of that class has been nil, then deinitializer will be called in such case. So let's go and see it. So here I've created the big reference of book and created deinitializers for both class. Now I'm going to create the movie object by movie type, which is optional, and passing the movie Harry Potter, and I have assigned a book called H Potter book. Now I am assigning the property like assign book of a movie object and assign the book object to it, and I am going to nil the book object. So it will implicitly nil the assigned book property also, because it's a weak reference. If you want to check it, then you can also remove the weak keyword from the assigned book, and you can see the result will be different in both cases. So when I'm going to print the result, it will call the book is destroyed and book object book is released. Whenever I'm calling this book obj is equal to nil, then it will call the destructor of book, so it will print the book is destroyed, and then it will check that assigned book, which is a movie obj dot assigned book, which is a weak reference. So in such case it will not give any kind of value, so it will be nil. So in such case book obj is released will be called. So if you are going to remove the weak keyword, so it will hold the strong reference of that. So in such case, if you are going to print it, it will give you the result like book name is assigned book name, and it will not call the deinitializers of a book, because these instances already hold the strong reference of it. So if you have defined it nil, but it is already the strong reference which is holded by the assigned book, so in such case it will not release it. So in such cases we are using a weak keyword so that we can get the desired result. So we can going to print it, and it's working properly. Now in Swift there is also concept of extension. So if you have created one class and you don't want to create the subclass of it, but you want to extend its functionality, then you can create the extensions from that class or from that protocol. And so here I have created the extension. So first we will see that how we can create the extension. So it's the syntax like extension, then name of class for which you want to extend. So I will name that class, and if that extension want to implement any kind of protocol, then we will use this kind of a colon and give the protocol name over here. So in here uh, I am going to extend the functionality of double in here. So I have created the extensions of double, where I have created a property and called gst, which is give the return the 0.5 of the current value. And there's also an initializers which can also be defined in initial extensions, and you can also define the function as you want to extend the functionality of that current class. So here you can see that I have created the build material by passing the double value, and I can call its method GST because I have created the extensions for that. So you can see that the whole building GST equal to 50 because I have passed 1000, so 1000 has been passed over here. So 1000 uh, divided into 0.05 which will give you the result 50. In the same way, you can also create the double with the help of initializers called this which is available because I have created the extensions. If you remove the extensions, it will give you the compile time error. So in such case, you can see the result as we can create the properties, initializers, and also functions. So I have given the examples of three of them, so you can try it and check it out. And there is also concept of protocol is same as the interface like other language called Java and C#. So whenever you are going to define kind of protocol, you are sure that the functions and property defined in protocol, you must have to implement it in a class if the class is implementing that protocol. So over here you can create the protocol using the protocol keyword and then give the name of protocol, and then you can define the function inside the body of a protocol. So over here I have created the protocol iPrinter result where there is a function called print result, and the same way there is another class called HBPrinter which is which implement the iPrinter's result protocol. So I have to implement the methods like print result, and I have just print the that print done by HB. In the same way, I have created another class called Bell Printer, and it's also implementing iPrinter result, and it prints the print done by Bell. And now I'm created the instance. I have created the array type, which is iPrinter result type. So you can see it's also kind of a polymorphism, as you can define the different class objects over here, and you are going to print it, the print result. So you can see it that print done by HB and print done by Bell. Over here I have used any object keyword use because I already defined you I already described you that any object will hold any kind of object which should be a class type. So over here HB printer and a Bell printer are class types, so it will hold the values of it. And if you are going to print the result, then you have to do casting using S, and it's iPrinter result type. So if it is iPrinter result type, then if it's going to print the if it's going to call the method print result over here. So here you are going to print it, then you can see that it will print the result like print done by HP and print done by Dell. Same as other language, there is also generic supported. So over here I have created simple method called interchange value where I have given the type could be anything else, and I'm going to pass to variable which is in out type. So the function will change the value of a parameters when I'm going to pass it, and I can get the updated value of the parameters. So I have created the function, and it's a generic type. So I am passing the type as a generic over here, and this is simple logic to interchange the values. Now I'm going to create two variables called number1 and number2 which has two values like 100 and 200. So whenever I'm going to print the original value are 100 and 200, when I'm going to interchange this value and print it again, it will interchange the value. But this kind of function is not only restricted for the integer type. If it could also be possible for string, as I already created two variables which is a string type, and I'm going to call the same functions and I'm going to print it. So you can see that the original string was Albert and D'Souza, and now interchange value has been changed already. And there is also access control, access specifiers available in a Swift, which is based on a file base. So there are actually three type of them. One is public, so public could be used anywhere, and you can import with using a defined module. If you are going to use internal type, then it could be used in a defined module only, and if it is a private, then you can use it in a single file. So this is a way which could be, this access control can be applied for any functions, enumerations, classes, constants, in such way. So this is the end of this tutorial. So you can download this playground from the given link. So you can play with this playground, which will give you the better idea of it. So thank you for watching this video. Have a nice day.